What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about Opendoor. I want to go over some of the data points, what's moving it today, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So Opendoor is down 5.05%, 808 the low, 882 the high, and 97 million shares being traded. 388 is the average. So extremely low volume. And once again, as I've really explained in the past, Opendoor is largely a momentum play. And for right now, of course. And if you don't get sufficient amount of volume with a momentum stock, you do get this general pullback. But the fact that this sell-off did occur once the market did open, that goes to show that there is a certain level of manipulation, because big money does wait up until the market does open. They buy puts, then they are free to pretty much bring the stock price down, thus allowing their puts to appreciate. So again, you kind of have that behind the scenes, and more on a macro level, there's not really that much coming out. There's some fear about a potential shutdown and what that might mean to the broader market. But specific to Opendoor, there hasn't really been all that much in news or any articles. I think some people at the same time might be a little bit disappointed because Kaz has mentioned that there was going to be a big launch. He kind of mentioned it on the 24th, and this is something as well I did mention in my video over the weekend on if these protocols, AI protocols, are there like his big launch or not. But nonetheless, though, I feel like the market is really wanting the next big catalyst for Opendoor. And it's kind of funny, you're actually seeing a lot of hate associated to Kaz. Even 𝗪𝗧𝗡𝗡𝗘𝗖𝗧, I know generally a lot of people don't like him, but he does have a pretty big following. So 381,000 followers on here, not even counting YouTube. But he just said, unpopular opinion, this is the most pathetic CEO desk I've ever seen in my life. And to be fully honest, I kind of tend to agree a little bit. Of course, this is the first day and you never know how things might develop or the office size, but I kind of do tend to agree a little bit because I guess my desk, even right here, is more complex and vast and has more stuff here than that. But again, it's all about, some people are minimalists and some people are perfectly happy with this right here. So again, kind of an interesting type of thing. So it is clearly Opendoor is getting a lot of attention. The fact that even 𝗪𝗧𝗡𝗡𝗖𝗧 is paying attention to Kaz's posts kind of could be seen as positive. But again, moral of the story is Opendoor does really need to put out some actual news because just speculation can only run stocks so far. Aside from that, shorts are taking advantage of everything today and increasing 2.79 million shares. 19.98% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 141.68 million shares overall being shorted. As I've explained in the past, that 2.79 million is net. At its peak, it looks like they were increasing a significant amount. So again, they do make it for a majority of the volume. And if you are seeing generally lower volume today, and as well as the last several trading days, shorts can kind of move the stock price, if that makes a little bit of sense. But aside from that, today we are seeing 23 million in calls, 6.25 million in puts. 46% of all the options being done are bearish in nature. So I think just as well, big money hasn't really been looking at Opendoor as much as it once had, because even looking back when it was starting to really rocket up, you saw a lot of volume. So on a daily basis, 149 million. This one was crazy. So on September the 11th, $536 million in premiums, 227. And lately, last couple of trading days has been 62, 90. So a little bit on the low end. So again, goes to show that big money's not really seeing and playing Opendoor as much as I would have anticipated. From a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that $9 to $10 range by the end of this week. So nice recovery is anticipated. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 750. So a little bit more back and forth there. These are all the transactions occurring on the secondary market. So a couple ones just occurred right now. So a string of buying, and that is most likely what is causing this to go up right now. So big money is buying, but throughout the day, somewhat evenly divided, some buying, some selling. This right here, these are the culprits that did bring it down. So a string of selling. Dark pool, a lot of big transactions, and this is just because a lot of hedge funds as well as shorts use this exchange to mask a lot of their transactions, which is rather unfortunate. But nonetheless, though, with it at 841, it is trading between this R1 and the pivot. So 839 is going to be that key support. So just kind of watch for it to close above that. And then flip side, 936 is going to be that next strong target / resistance point. And it is rather unfortunate because of the whole potential shutdown that might occur on October the 1st, because that would also be pausing all the data releases. And this would be a huge week for Opendoor, as what I've mentioned in my video over the weekend, because a lot of the data that's coming out is labor linked data points, which would change the viewpoint of a potential cut for the upcoming October meeting. So even potentially best case scenario, the market starting to look at a 50 basis point cut, or either even starting in to price in a 25 basis point cut. So the fact that they would be potentially pausing data wouldn't be the best, I guess, in Opendoor's case. But aside from all of that, though, on the actual chart itself, you see a little bit more willing sellers, still below that 10-day moving average, so shows that momentum is somewhat diminishing. Not that much in actual data or any articles coming out. Algos seem to be one of the biggest driving factors for it today. So just again, looking at this column right here, the smaller transactions, that is algos. No new articles or any analyst ratings, like I said. So it is just merely piggybacking off of the broader market and shorts. So shorts and algos are kind of the big thing for it today. So let me know your thoughts on Opendoor. Are you buying? Are you selling? And do you feel that $10 is realistic for this upcoming Friday, or do you think it is going to pull a little bit lower to potentially that, let's say that 750? So what's your general thoughts on Opendoor in the comments below? And what do you think about them getting all this hate from various individuals, YouTubers, and whatever else, like especially this? And there's a lot worse out there really going after Opendoor. So I feel like the hate has really escalated, which is kind of uncalled for, I think, in my opinion, because Opendoor, I think, does have a lot of good potential. It's still, I think the problem with Opendoor is if we look over here, like it's sucked. And anyone says otherwise is lying. So it's largely sucked up until pretty much July. That's where it finally shows some signs of life. But I think a lot of individuals have been holding for a very long time, and they just have a very negative viewpoint on Opendoor. So I think hopefully Kaz comes out, really changes things up and starts to spread a little bit more positivity among current and old investors. So let me know your general kind of viewpoint on that. One final thing though, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. So I put out daily day trades, numerous swing trades, worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.